In this demonstration, we're now going to cover how to create a VM scale set using the Azure portal. So let's head straight over there. In the portal, to begin, simply type in scale at the top of your search bar and choose virtual machine scale sets. Up it comes, and as you can see, I currently have no virtual machine scale sets in my environment. So I'm going to select add. As you can see, it comes up and asks us for some of the basics for our scale set. First of all, give it a scale set name. So I'm going to call mine SL Scale 01. Choose the operating system disk image. So in my case, I'm going to continue to use the Windows Server 2016 data center images I've been using before. It is possible to use your own custom images. You just need to configure it using PowerShell instead. Go ahead and choose our subscription and resource group. I'm continuing to use the same resource group I've been using throughout these VM demos, our location, and then our username and password for those virtual machines. If we scroll down, now we get the details around the instance specifics. So in my case, I'm saying I want an instance count of 2, and now I need to choose my instance size. So in my case, I'm going to select this and choose a B series. If we scroll all the way down and choose the B2S here, and then I need to decide some other things. Do I want to scale beyond 100 instances? Obviously for this demo I don't need to do that. And do I want to use managed disks for my virtual machines? I definitely do. Next we do some IP address and information. So I'm going to do SL public 01. With the configuration out the way, we can now move on to the auto scale-in section. So if we choose enabled here, another section expands out. If we scroll down, we can see a few things we need to decide here. So the minimum number of virtual machines, this is important. If we're trying to design for availability as well, we probably want to go with a minimum of 2. That's the minimum that will always be available in the scale set. And then we can say a maximum of 4 in my example, but I can choose to go up to 10, 20, etc. And then we can choose how we want to scale out. So what's the decision criteria for scaling out the VM? Right now we're just looking at the infrastructure criteria that appears on this page, and we can go by CPU threshold, so 75% as an example. When we get to 75%, we'll add another virtual machine. We set it to increase the number of VMs by 1, but we could immediately say, look, when we get to 75%, go ahead and add 2, which would then put us at our maximum of 4. Then we have the scale in rule. As I mentioned, we want to try to create that always when we create a scale out rule. And in this case, I'm saying at 25% CPU threshold, start to decrease my number of machines by 1. And with all of that configured, just go ahead and click create. And we can see deployment is now in progress, and we'll come back to this once it's completed. Okay, so now we can see that our scale set's successfully been created, SL Scale 01. If we go ahead and select it, and we can go in here, we can see our instance count. If we go down to instances, you can see there both of those are running. And if we open up the scale-in section, and we can see in here our various auto-scaling rules. And as we mentioned before, we're currently scaling based on an infrastructure metric, but we could, if we wish, add additional profiles, scroll down here, add additional rules, and decide if we want to scale in based on other metrics such as application metrics, etc. And with that, this concludes our demonstration.